Hi ladies, I'm Rebecca, the founder of the Female Entrepreneurs Network, and welcome to the show. Here you're going to find badass human beings, creatives, adventurous people, and massive action takers. If you need any more support or love, head over to the femaleentrepreneursnetwork.com to find everything that you could ever possibly need. Always remember to speak your truth, be who you are, because you are always enough. And there is someone out there who needs to hear your message today. Enjoy this episode, and if you love us, share us with your mates. I love you all, Rebecca. Welcome, Carol Ann Reid.
Hi.
Do you a little welcome dance?
I like it.
So Carol Ann Reid is a transformational coach, author and speaker. But look, Carol Ann, I'm going to pass over to you and let you welcome yourself, introduce yourself, and tell our community who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Thank you. So as you said, coach, speaker, and author. And it still gets me to this day. I mean, I do so much work personally and obviously professionally around mindset. And it still makes me like smile, like beam every single time, because if I was to rewind back, I'm just going to get straight into it. If I was to rewind back 3-4 years ago, and I'm not afraid to say this, but I used to stand in front of the mirror, right? This was when I was doing a lot of fitness instructing, and I was doing like an online health and wellness business. But I had this dream that one day I was going to be working with people in the coaching capacity. I'd be on stages doing talks, and despite this dyslexia and all of this, like this internal negative self-talk, I used to stand every single day and say to myself in the mirror, hi, my name is Carol Ann Reid. I'm a life coach, a best-selling author and speaker. And I used to practice it, and I'd slip over the words. I would laugh at myself like, God, that would just, why are you even saying this? And then when you actually get introduced, it just shows the power of belief and intention and mindset. Sorry,
No, please do. This is what we love over here. Like, I'm all about action, simple and straightforward. And I think that, like just getting straight into it is so important. There needs to be no fluff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it is so powerful, isn't it? And Jesus, like, I don't know about you, but something that just came up for me whilst you were chatting was like about how much, because we speak like every day, so like proper besties, at least in my model of the world anyway.
You do, and in mine, darling, don't worry. We share models of the world.
But so before we move on that note, like just for all the audience, so I speak about this in all of my interviews about how important it is to have people that we speak to on a daily basis that are going through the same things that we're going through. Because on the surface of things, people might look like they're, everything's good and everything's great, and it might be, but then there are also other things going on that you do need to talk to someone about. Like,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if we think about it, what is one of the biggest habits that people have? They wake up in the beautiful mindset that is alpha, and then quickly pick up our phones, and it's bam, straight into let's compare ourselves to the highlight reel of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And
so just before you
first thing.
Yeah. So the term alpha, so obviously we know what that means, but for anyone who's listening who doesn't know what that means, do you want to just explain that to them?
Of course. So
when
we first wake up in the morning, we're in an alpha state, as it's called, and it's an alpha brainwave. It's between 10 to 12 hertz, and that is basically like the gateway to our subconscious mind. That's the time when our mind is most impressionable. We have great focus. We have this beautiful imagination. And in something that I massively coach around is the power of a morning of a morning ritual or routine or something. But as I was saying, so many of us have this window of opportunity. It's a natural thing. But as soon as we go, right, to-do list, let the dog out, crack on, we drink caffeine, which just hypers up the brain, and we very quickly go on social media, and all of that takes us into a beta state, which is our everyday kind of on the go. But if we almost bypass that alpha state and go straight into beta, then it's actually, it can be one of the causes of anxiety, because we've gone from this beautiful sleep where we're restoring ourselves and our brain is creating and restoring, straight into to-do lists, social media, and it's a huge cause of anxiety.
Yeah, and so for people as well, like in the alpha state, like that's also like when you meditate, that's the kind of state that we want, and the frequency that we want to get to. And like it's common for like when you're in the shower, like that's the kind of like, how many ideas do you get in the shower? Or when you falling asleep.
So many.
Yeah, when you've just fallen asleep at night, I've got to keep a pen and a piece of paper by my bed.
Yeah, mine's when I'm drying my hair. I look out of my window and I'm like, the most incredible things come to us. But that's when we're creating white space. When you're driving, white space, all these ideas and thoughts, and we have access to that. But yeah, like I said, we just bypass it, or a lot of people do. And that's something that before we even get started, I would always recommend to utilize that time first thing, whether it's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, and really work with that beautiful state of the brain, and implement in, whether it's affirmations or gratitudes or some meditation, something that's going to enhance it.
Or journaling,
yeah,
powerful. That's my go-to. Okay, so we've kind of fast forwarded a little bit here, so let me rewind back a bit.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it wasn't you, it was me. So coming back to like what came up for me then when you were talking about how amazing you are and how you did this affirmation in the mirror, and like you're here now, like it's so easy, isn't it, to like have achieved all these things, because like we are best-selling authors, we are on stages speaking to people, you know, and this is like our daily lives, you know. And I was just saying to my husband this morning, I'm just midway through a course launch at the moment for the NLP Foundations. It's been one of the, I mean, we're only halfway through, and we generated like nearly 7,000 in like 5 days. Which is incredible, right?
Yeah.
But in my head, and I had this conversation with my husband about it, in my head I was like, well, that's not good enough. Like, I wouldn't want to tell people about that, because that's not 10 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said to him, like, why am I thinking like that? Like, that is amazing. I've done that in 5 days. That's incredible.
That's a lot of people's, if we were to actually break that down, because this is the thing, once you're in that kind of world, in the entrepreneurial business world,
especially in
when we are
space.
when you're seeing these gurus one day launch $150,000 and all of this stuff, it's like, I get it, and that it's definitely a learning, and people develop and evolve, but 7,000 in 5 days, that in itself is bloody incredible. And also, how many people as a result of you going for that are going to be helped? Like,
that's it, isn't it? Yeah. And it's fun as well, because we've jumped the gun again, but let's just go with the flow. We always do that on the podcast over here. So and the biggest driver with it being the NLP is that just helping people and knowing the difference that people are going to get in our lives. I've already been receiving messages, and we only started this week, so absolutely incredible. So coming back to what I was saying, like it's so easy, isn't it, to be achieving all these amazing things, but still not give ourselves a pat on the back, or, you know, treat ourselves or give ourselves the recognition that we deserve. Do you have any tips for that?
Oh, yes. So I have now got to a place, because I went to like very, very near burnout at one stage. I was running a online wellness program, and I had a team of about 100 people around the world. I was organizing my wedding. I was still a fitness instructor. I was a singer. I was doing every free talk you'd find me in the loos, I swear down, talking. If there was anyone willing to listen, I was like practicing giving these talks. So back then I was all about action, and literally used to pull all-nighters as well. And I thought that was cool, genuinely, because I used to follow the grinders and the grit and this
hustle.
hustle.
I hate that word.
I do. I'm like, no, the complete opposite, like the complete opposite. So I kind of learned the hard way. Like, I know you have a lot of females listening into this, but like my cycles stopped and I was trying for a baby. So my body like stopped functioning. It stopped working. And I just had no idea. So I was always outwardly focused energy wise and getting some great achievements. Like the first business I ran in the first year, we turned over like 250 grand, and it was like loads of really cool things happening, but I wasn't fulfilled. I was always, like you said, on to the next thing, quick. And what I now do is every Sunday I open up my diary and I make sure there is something in it for me, and I highlight it in pink. And like this week I had reflexology, and whilst I was there, she was like, do you want your feet or your head doing? And I was like, screw it, both. And it was like, just literally did. And it was just, it felt so freeing that, and it isn't because I'm like financially abundant or anything, but in my mind, it's like, I have really worked hard. And if I'm to serve people, if I'm to show up as my best self, like grinding at 5 a.m. is not gonna do it. I need my energies are like, so it's all about honoring a little bit of time in your diary. And I understand there's family commitments and everything under the sun, but that's why I plan it ahead, because if I wouldn't have done that yesterday, even the weekends aren't mine these days. So I would definitely say, if anyone's sort of achieving and really striving for the next thing, it's stopping and celebrating what you have done, looking how far you've come, but also planning in minimum an hour to 2 hours in your diary every week where it's like no phone, no contact, I am untouchable, I'm recharging.
Yeah, it's so important. I think the phone thing is a big thing for me as well. Like I
A Hooters
I'm just
mug.
laughing because Caroline's got a Hooters mug. We were giggling about it before.
Sorry, I didn't think.
Honestly, it's fine. It's okay. We'll let you off. I forgot what we're on about. Right, my phone. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's something that I've been talking about so much for like press releases and people looking for people to talk about, like the phone addiction thing. Like it is really hard to leave your phone somewhere that you're not going to access it. And at first it can cause anxiety. But once you get
100%.
over that, yeah, it's completely freeing. I very rarely have my phone on a weekend. I leave it in my office, and on an evening, I leave it in the office. Like, so I'll pick up the girls at about 5:30, and I won't have my phone.
I have to say, I mean, I'm not yet a mummy, but I do have a little dog, so he is my baby. But I have to say, from working with a lot of mums in like business, and like yourself, you work with so many mums in business. That is like, I am like taking my hat off to you, because that is amazing to hear. Being able to honor that time, really commit to the connection, which I think as business owners, we feel that if we don't have our phones, it's that disconnection. What if the world crumbles? I mean, I've got so much better than I used to, but I genuinely used to think, if I leave my phone for more than an hour, 2 hours, like something bad, like this was way before I did NLP, it's like something bad would happen. Like, what if someone in my team can't do this, or what if this happens to a client? Or, and it never did. But the fear would keep me like attached to this object. It's crazy,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's so silly. Well, you know why that is though, don't you? It's because of the endorphins that, like, you know, like I was listening to his podcast a while ago on Tony Robbins' podcast. Love it. Love his podcast. And the guy, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about how like games are created to be addictive, like so it's like a gaming gratification, and they've built the phone exactly the same way. So like all social media platforms have this gaming gratification, because when you get notifications, it pumps endorphins into your body, which then gives you a buzz, which is addictive.
It's crazy.
So that's why we keep doing it. And
like, even if we think of followers, like, don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm very active on Instagram, and it's a fantastic platform for building your business on. But at the same time, it's seeing the line between reality and your grounding time and spending time with your friends, with your family, and taking time to recharge, as you and I are very passionate about, and not getting hooked. That, I mean, I'll be honest, and I know this might sound a bit weird, but the word followers freaks me out. If I said to my husband, I had 4 followers today, 4 people following me, like, would read them bloody please. Like,
I never thought about it like that.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we are so conditioned and programmed that we want that. We want friends. We want connection. So you're so right. It is like deeply ingrained in us. So it is keeping that balance, because let's be honest, as entrepreneurs and business owners, like, we need that platform, but it's knowing the thin grey line, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And something that I did a couple of months back, and literally I just downloaded Instagram today on my phone, because the doors close for the NLP Foundations in a couple of days. I thought, I'll get something on Instagram stories before we close. So I literally had to download Instagram, but I have, and I will get it, it'll be deleted again by Sunday.
Wow.
But I've deleted all of my social media apps off my phone, and I'm debating whether to delete my emails as well, because it's just that, isn't it? It's like the whole, because what happens even when I do have my phone and I do check it, because I still might check it out of the habit, but there's nothing to check.
Yes. So then we find something to check.
Well, what happens is I open my phone and there's nothing to check. So then I'm like, oh, okay, well, which course can I start doing? Or which inspirational video can I listen to instead? And instead of sitting on a platform, like getting nothing, I'm learning and growing and developing. And,
That's so good.
Just that switch, that it's just been so powerful.
It's so, and you know what, you've actually inspired. I mean, I'm really so much better on my phone, and again, this is something I'm actually really passionate about. But I remember it getting to the point a few years ago where I checked my Facebook, checked my Instagram, checked my LinkedIn, I'm not really that thingy on Twitter, and then I was like, and I remember swiping across and I checked my bank accounts because I wanted something to check. And I remember in that moment being like, okay, like, there's a bit of an imbalance here. This isn't healthy. I just want something that's I click and it gives me a result. And yeah, I absolutely honor that. I think I might do a little,
so interesting, right? Because recently I was working with a woman and we were helping her. So within NLP, you'll know, Caroline, we have a strategy that we carry out for everything that we do.
Yes.
So I was helping this woman with stopping snoozing her alarm in the morning, right? But it all starts before she goes to bed at night. So we were eliciting her strategy, like what are the steps that she goes through before she goes to bed, and then what happens when she wakes up in the morning. And it was literally, this is what we had to wipe out. It was literally checking my phone, and she was so embarrassed to share it as well. Like, I won't share who she was or anything because it's not right. Like, it just made me think, oh my God, that this was me a couple of years ago. Like, this is what I used to do.
Exactly.
I don't have my phone in my bedroom now. I've got an alarm, like a small clock.
Yeah.
Like one of the manual alarms.
Yeah.
You have to wind up.
Retro. Go on, girl.
But she, honestly, when we were listening to her strategy, so for those of you who are listening, what happens when you it's just like changing the habit. We just need to take out an element of the strategy. So you have to elicit the step-by-step strategy that someone goes through in order to understand where it needs to change. So she was basically like, I get into bed, I have my phone next to me, I might have a drink. So I have a drink and then I pick up my phone and I check Twitter, then I check BuzzFeed, then I check Facebook, then I check my emails, then I go back to Twitter again and check Twitter, then I go back to BuzzFeed. And like, it took a while to get this out of her, but in between she was like laughing and kind of almost crying with like embarrassment, because she was like, I can't believe, like, I didn't realize this is what was going on. And then we were like, we're not surprised you snoozing your alarm in the morning.
Exactly.
Like with the phone. And so
wow.
I bet so many people do it as well without realizing.
100%. And I've noticed myself, and I mean, just like yourself doing NLP, this is one of the biggest ones that comes up in coaching and workshops. I'm going to say the example that I use in talks and workshops is actually the snooze and the alarm, because when I ask how many people here set that as a goal, like in a little habit thing, I'm going to say about half the room put the hand up. And just as you've said, it obviously it isn't just the habit there and then, it's the build up to it, i.e. the night before. But I bet there's a lot of listeners now that have sat there like, yeah, that is me, but it is changeable, and it isn't just a case of willpower or there are set structures which you can follow and quite simply remove it, isn't there?
Yeah, I'll just come and see me and I'll teach you either how to do it.
Exactly.
How to do it for other people so you can charge for it, or I'll do it for you. So coming on to NLP then, so you are an NLP master practitioner as well. So I love to think of NLP as like the art and science of being the best possible versions of ourselves.
Hallelujah, yes.
Yeah, and so with the NLP Foundations course that we launched this week, we've literally had 26 people sign up for it.
Amazing.
And they are, you know, as I said, I've been getting messages from them already saying how amazing they've been getting on. And because the way that NLP is taught is that it's audio, visual and kinesthetic. So you've got a book, so you can hold it and read it. You've got a video, so you can sit and watch it and make notes on the book. And you've got an audio that you can listen to on the go that you're taking subconsciously. So as we were on the subject, I just thought I'd get that NLP.
Yeah, absolutely.
To everyone. So if anybody wants to learn more about NLP, you can hop into the course. But how would you describe NLP, and how do you feel like it's changed your life and what you do?
NLP for me, so if I was to sort of rewind back, which was probably the first question that you asked me, it was
how did we get here?
I know, but it's been fun. So I remember when I went through quite like a traumatic stage, actually. If I look back, say like 10 years ago, I was in an abusive relationship, like mentally, and those who know me will no doubt know my story, but I was addicted to drugs as well. I went through like a really, really dark stage, and at the time I didn't realize that I'd lost my self-identity. I was just trying to please people and fit in and follow this crowd and this ideal that I'd created in my mind of who I should be, and definitely wasn't. But at the time it was all I knew, and it took like a pretty horrific event for me to like remove myself completely from where I was living, who I was surrounding. And I had this preconceived idea that in order to make a transformation, you change everything around you. So that included my car, my job. I chopped my hair off. I had like a really short, cute little hairdo. I won't ever do that again, I promise. At the time, it felt right. And a friendship, like everything you could name, new wardrobe. And I thought that that's what it took to change who you are and how you feel about yourself, because I was in a very, very low state of self-worth. I certainly didn't feel enough. And it took about good 6 months for the hair to grow, the clothes to get old, the car to get a bit better, to realize that I was like, I'm still having these internal like doubts and self-talk and massive lack of confidence. So I managed to just kind of like wade my way through. And again, those who know, I then lost my stepdad to suicide, and that was like a big wake up call of, it isn't only me that's able to paint a smile on and crack on despite the anxiety and depression and self-talk, but there's a hell of a lot of people out there with the same things. Social media is a great example. So I went on this mission to try to find out how do we change what's going on inside. So I became a life coach, did some transformational coaching, CBT, there was loads of different things, and got incredible results. Like changed who I am. I can quite literally say I am not the same person who I was 10 years ago. Helped a ton of people, but that was like, there's more, there's something deeper. And then I came across NLP, and knowing that it goes to that deeper level. So it's not just your logical thinking, it's your subconscious, it's your nervous system, it's that deep ingrained, and it you don't have to, what I love about NLP is you don't have to go there and face it like you do in counseling. Because I think I had one counseling and came out and I was like, oh, wow. I mean, I honor it. It's a fantastic way to support. And it's, as just from a personal experience, I was like, oh, I have just unearthed. Now what? Whereas literally I came away like, oh my God, traumatized. And then whereas NLP, you can elicit, you can remove those internal blocks and limiting beliefs without actually having to really face them head on. And that, I was like, I like quick results and I like it pretty pain-free. So I was like, this is magic. And I remember when I first trained, I came home and my husband was like, if you were to like sum it up, how was it? I was like, it's like wizard school.
Oh my God, yes. It's like
literally
like goddess. You are a goddess.
Yes, I like goddess school probably better than wizard school. But I suddenly realized that there's this other world where we can go into our internal programming and reprogram to align you with the trajectory of who you want to be and what you want to do. And I was like, this is freaking genius. So from there, obviously, then I met yourself at the Master NLP practitioner course. And it's massively changed my life. And to see, I mean, I work with a rehab center. So I work with recovering addicts. I work privately with business owners, all the way through to children as well, struggling with anxiety. And NLP is such a go-to tool because you just have this abundant toolkit. So it's like like if you get a mechanic and the car's not quite ticking right, okay, so I'm going to use different tools to try and see what's going to fix it. So I just see NLP as a great toolkit.
It's incredible, isn't it? And I always think it's like common sense. Like,
yes, it absolutely is
common sense. But it's just crazy. Like, one of the women who's signed up to the course this week has been messaging me, and like she said, I know she doesn't mind me sharing this because I've already asked her about this, and I'm not going to tell you who she was, who she is. But she said she had a really big argument this week with someone who's really important family member, and she just knew that she needed to do something, and then the NLP course popped up and she saw the advert for NLP Foundations course, and she said she's been messaging me because she works in a school and she's a teacher, and she's been, I was saying I really believe it should be taught in schools, and she said she couldn't believe that it's not. Like, I think she said to me first, I can't believe this is not being taught to kids, and I said I really believe it should be taught in schools. And then she starts saying, well, what if, what if we work towards getting it into schools, into the curriculum? And it's that just, like, I cannot even put in words how I'm feeling right now. It's like every single cell in my body is like, this is the right path. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. It's just a complete game changer, isn't it? Like, I've worked with for one instance, and she knows, she's actually shared this story with us and doing a talk, but I worked with a British powerlifter, and she came to us because she was having struggles with her squats, but not what you'd think, that it was too heavy for her, anything like that. Every time she squatted, she cried. And she was like, mate, this is just getting embarrassing now. Like, she's so petite, but she's like this. She's like the Hulk. It's insane. And every time she squatted, she cried. So I was like, right, okay, there's something that's triggering this emotion. So we did a session and sort of took her back in time a little bit. I think did we do timeline therapy? It was likely to be timeline therapy. And something that came up was she was, when she was younger, her friend dragged her, great friend, but dragged her by her feet and then held her in the paddling pool by her feet underwater. And then she like screamed, she ran to the back door to shout for her dad, and then she slipped and hit her head, and then her dad was shouting at her. So there was a real layering of this experience for her. And she was like, well, obviously it doesn't sound directly linked, but what I picked up was the heaviness of the bar felt like the heaviness of being underwater. So by removing that experience, and we used a bit of a mixture now I remember, but we did the timeline therapy and some distortion as well to like distort the old memory. the weight of the actual weight, like physical bar weight, she's done it. She's now representing the Great Britain in like America this year. So it's insane, because you would think it would be something that's linked directly, but actually it was something that never in a million years would she have thought was a connection. And that's something that I just find so magical about NLP.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's like it's just, just love it.
Yeah.
So you've also been on the receiving end then of having timeline therapy as well, haven't you? We spent a day together doing a breakthrough day. So I'm really excited to kind of, because we've not had an update since that session, have we?
Yeah.
So I'm really been looking forward to learning about like how things have been since we did the session, like what your thoughts are in the timeline therapy, creating your future coaching.
Oh yes.
Because there are two different timeline techniques that you can use in NLP. There's time techniques. Is that what you were referring to them? What you use? Yeah. And then, which, I mean, they're both super, super powerful, but I'd say they're good for different reasons.
And then you've got the
timeline therapy, which is also referred to as creating your future coaching, which is where we look at past events in our lives like fear, sadness, guilt and hurt, and then we get an underlying limiting belief, so we can look forward positively, personally, and find more resources and find new resources. So we're talking about here, we had a day, didn't we? We did a breakthrough day and we used timeline therapy. So how have things been since we caught up properly?
Really, really good. And I think one of the, obviously I'm going to go into more than just really good, but I think one of the
really good.
It was
and that's it,
it was
now.
Really good. I think when it comes to stuff like that, because it's not a physical thing, so if I was to go to a mug making class, I come away with a mug. Who does mug? Whereas when you have a session such as timeline therapy or a breakthrough day or whatever it is, you actually come away with something tangible. It's like a process that kind of unveils itself by, this is my interpretation of it.
That's so true there.
And this is what I find again with clients and stuff.
I don't know if you notice, but that's what we do. So we reframe you in that way using timeline therapy, because it's all about looking forward into your future, reframing past events, but creating new resources for future events. So timeline therapy helps you forever, like literally forever. It never ends.
It's like an ongoing thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which again, this is why I love the future focus, not the past focus. But what I found was, say for instance, because I mean, I'd like to say I've got a very resilient mindset and like very strong mindset, but I'd reached a level, as I shared with yourself, where I was like, right, best-selling author, speaker, coach, and I'm doing those things. And then I'm like, I want to go to there. So there's always the glass ceiling, there's like always the next level. And I could see everything there. So from working on those things with yourself, now it just feels like it's just flowing. And it isn't just a goal or a vision, and it kind of gives you those incy butterflies, if that's a real word, incy, but those little flutters of, oh, I'll try and do that, but then you kind of procrastinate about it. Now it's like, right then, let's straight on to the next thing. Like, you just kind of swear.
Yeah, if you want. I think
it's just like you just have like just no bullshit in your brain, if that makes sense. It's just, there just isn't anything there that's like the barrier anymore. So it feels as if it's like the mindset reaches here, and then no doubt the goals stretch further, and then when they do, I'll be like, yo. But we do. But as a coach, this is something that I find really important to share, because I know a lot of clients that I work with are like, you have coaching? Yeah. Like, we're always striving to be, and like yourself, we will always strive to be the best version of ourselves. And we need to keep growing and keep developing to make more room for those clients that want to keep growing and want to keep developing. So yeah, I'd say it's just cleaned my mind up. And the little habits that, say, I once would have had, that was, I'd recognize as procrastinating to avoid the fear of judgment, the blah, 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 all the little internal things, they've just kind of poof, gone.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And the thing that's so amazing about it, and I think we touched on this before, is that it is content free. So we don't need to know what events in the past that we're reframing. So I know you mentioned about like a time that you had in your life, which, you know, you was probably the lowest of the low. Like, you know, I've been in a very similar place myself 10 years ago as well. And, you know, when we're going through timeline, because I have timeline on myself, you know, I think it's really important that we walk our talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is that it's completely content free. Like, we don't have to share that information with our coach. I mean, you can if you want to, but you don't need to. And also, what was I just going to say then? It was right on the tip, and it's just as I said, and also it went away.
It'll come. And I have to say, this is the beautiful thing about the brain, is you have to hold it because I need to share something really important about the brain. Is that exact example when we mid-sentence and then forget something, it's logged. It's never gone. So when we experience something negative, for example, it's logged and it can always creep back up, but do continue.
That's that. So yeah, so like coming back to the experience that you said, like what happened to you in your past and what happened to me in my past, like I don't know about you, but when I have timeline therapy, I've had it 3 times now and I will have it again, is I didn't go back to them events. It's not significant emotional events that we're looking for. It's events that are in your imprint period, which is between like 0 and 7. Yeah, there might be some significant events that happen within that time frame, but usually it's something before then that we're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I shared with you, but the things that came up for myself, because like yours, I've had it done a few times, but it's always something that if you were to look on, you'd be like, come on, put yourself together. It's not a big thing. It's never the big things that have the impact, but because we're in that imprinting stage, we have no life experience to compare it to. So it's real, it's true to us. So we take it on board.
So true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's been such an amazing chat and it's been so good to catch up. Is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners before we finish up?
I would know. I'm just going to say, just try. What I was going to say is just be open to try new things in terms of, obviously in business and all of that lot, but actually in terms of personal development and finding what works for you. Don't see it as it's something to be ashamed of, to go and like reach out, because actually I see it as the most empowering thing. You're taking yourself seriously. For every investment you make, it's like it's the best thing for you and other people, isn't it?
Yeah, so much. So much. So if anybody else wants to learn more about how they can work with you or where to find you, where will they need to go?
They can find me on social media, on Facebook and mainly Instagram. It's at Carol Ann Reid Coach. Or just launched this week, I've got my new website, which is www.carolannreid, which is reid.com.
Yay, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, lovely.
Thank you for being here. Don't forget to always speak your truth and be who you are, because there is someone out there today who needs to hear your message. If you need anything from us at all, head over to thefemaleentrepreneursnetwork.com and check us out. You'll find everything you could possibly need over there. Have an amazing day and I'll catch you on the next episode.